All right, hey everybody, happy Thursday. It's Serge Berger here. We're going to get started in just a minute. I need to make sure before we go into the algos and everything we're going to talk about. And we had a beautiful sell signal this morning in Apple, which I'll show you in a minute. I just need to make sure you guys can hear me okay, and you can see the screen. If you are here on GoToWebinar, that would be super helpful because I'm not 100% sure if it's actually showing the screen. So if you're on GoToWebinar, please quickly let us know if you can hear me and you can see the screen. That would be very helpful. And yes, we're live here. It is Thursday, and it is the 21st of March. Yeah, we're gonna get started at the top of the hour or so in about 7 minutes or so. I want to walk you through the market a little bit in terms of some of the things that we are seeing. But again, it would be super helpful if you could let me know quickly how the audio and visual is on GoToWebinar. If you can hear me and you can see the screen, that would be awesome because I need to know how if you guys can hear me and you can see the screen. Because right now it doesn't look like it's showing the screen. It looks like audio is good, but I don't know unless you guys tell me. So that would be very helpful. So while I wait for some of that, I want to just point out some things. You know, one of the things that we see in this market environment is just a lot of algorithms, computer programs that are coming into the market, and they're constantly buying and selling. And so one thing that we, for example, saw this morning, so this is just about, what is it now, almost 11 Eastern, so let's call it an hour and a half ago or something like that, is we saw selling coming into Apple, and you can see it right there with that down arrow, and this is where the programs started coming in and started selling. And then, of course, Apple is currently down about 3.7%, so that was pretty severe. So we'll look at this here in just a second. I'll be right back. Perfect. Okay, no, so thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, the screen is small. It's just the chart here, you know. If the screen is small on you guys' end, you just have to make it a bit larger. Like that's not something on our end. It's just a chart that's a bit small here. I'm just showing you the chart over the actual slides. So let me just walk you through a couple more things since I'm now comfortable that the audio and visual is working. Let me just walk you through. Let me see here. Where was this? I wanted to show you this. I want to quickly talk about the equity market. I mean, we're seeing a pretty extensive move here in the equity market. This is post a very dovish Fed yesterday. We're once again, I think, notably stretched, but then again, you know, I would have thought that weeks ago. So that's nothing new. You know, this momentum continues until it doesn't. So I just continue watching the 21 period moving average. That's one thing that I can tell you is what the algos are tracking right now, and we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. The other thing is 10-year yields. You know, if we look at 10-year yields, this is, I think, the line in the sand. Yesterday, 10-year yields, let me get rid of the moving averages because they are not relevant for this. Yesterday we had 10-year yields, drop a little bit under that very dovish Fed, and today they're kind of flatlining. But again, I think if we get a push above 4.35, 4.4%, I think that could be something that would make the equity market feel a little bit less comfortable. In the meantime, though, I will tell you, small caps. I mean, I don't think they're going to make new all-time highs, but the Russell 2000 above 208, which is more or less where it is right now. I mean, that you could see buyers come in on that, and that's, I know some of the algorithms are tracking those levels very closely. And so we're watching for some of those signals there. I think they are very real. In fact, I'm going to quickly look at one more thing if I can find you this. Yeah. Um, we're seeing buy signals everywhere. Like you look at, for example, and this is not totally unrelated to the S&P or yields, but stocks like Primerica, which really have nothing to do with semiconductors and momentum stocks. But you can see the buy signals we keep getting. These are these where it says B2. This is where the algos come in and start buying. And it just really looks like these stocks, they just want to go higher. I mean, for whatever reason, I'm not here to argue with it. But you can see the algos keep buying, and they're telling us that they want to exert more buying pressure into the market, and that's exactly what's happening. But again, on the other hand, you have something like Apple, this is today on a 5-minute chart, right? This is just today, 5 minutes. And you can see how this morning we got a sell signal. That's that little down arrow. Can you guys see that little down arrow right there? Yeah, right, perfect. So this is where you can see the algos started to come in, and they started selling Apple, and then it kept, that selling pressure kept increasing. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, then you're going to enjoy what we will show you here today, because it's really all about algos, and it's all about understanding when they come into the market, when they leave the market, when they come in for buying, when they come in for selling, um, and uh, uh, and that's what we're going to focus on here today. Does that make sense? Are there any questions on this? I know we're going to get started here in just a few minutes, but any questions? If you guys have anything you would like me to look at here in the market, I'm very happy to do so. I just want to quickly show you what the sell signal we got by our algo tracker this morning. This is when institutional investors, Wall Street firms came in and started selling Apple this morning. This is a 5-minute chart, and our algo picked it up. It noticed when the big computers came in and started to sell. So what happens? What could I do when that happens? I could short Apple. I could sell it. I could buy a put, right? For example, all sorts of things like that. If this was a futures contract, I could short the futures contract. If it was an ETF, I could do this, that, and the other, right? So it just very much depends on what the underlying is. But it's important. What important is that we get a signal, right? I think that's, to us, that's really the most important thing that we can focus on. Sure. Yep. Yep. Let me show you that. Yeah, we're gonna look at different asset classes. We're going to be looking at any asset classes you guys want, from equities to futures to ETFs, of course. We'll talk about how to use this with options as well, for sure. Does it work on the short side? Yeah, we just showed you Apple, right? Apple is one of those things where we just got a sell signal today, but there's tons of buying pressure we're seeing in the market. If you look at something like I don't know, something like IBM, we continue to get buy signals, or we have been continuing to get buy signals. Of course, Nvidia is a big one. Everyone is always tracking that, and rightly so. So if you look at Nvidia, let me bring this over here. You can see our algos, our indicator picked up the algorithms buying Nvidia on December 13th, and that's where it says B2 right down there, and then you can see Nvidia rallied like 100%. So again, we'll look at this here more closely. Could I repeat what I said about yields? By all means. Just shooting the breeze here before we get started, folks, in case you're just joining here a little bit. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. But what we talked about before in yields is, I think on the 10-year note, if we were to see the 10-year yield break above, again, I think it's about 4.35, 4.4. I think that would be where it gets more difficult. That's about this level here with those 2 circles or 3 circles. This is where it would get more difficult for equities. But for equities themselves, I mean, the S&P is very stretched right now. Once again, in the near term, does not mean it has to fall apart. It just means it's the algos are tracking it to the upside, and we continue to get buy signals, and so until we start getting sell signals, it's basically going to be bullish, but that can change quickly. Again, you saw what Apple is doing. These are sell signals from today, or this is the sell signal we got this morning from Apple, just before they got sued by the DOJ earlier today. So you could see algos are actually uh, pre-running that. Could I repeat the Russell 2000? Sure. On the Russell 2000, what I said before is that I don't think we're going to go to all-time highs here in the Russell 2000, but I do think here around 208, if we can hold these levels, I think we could squeeze 5, 6, 7% higher as a broadening. And it's just algos buying, and we're starting to get some early signals on that as well. So I think we could see some relative weakness out of momentum stocks, and then that pushing into things like the Russell 2000. That's one thing that I'm watching very closely. Yeah, what you just get in just a little bit, maybe in about 10-15 minutes, we're going to start looking at all your ticker symbols. We're going to get started here right now, but if you have any ticker symbols you want us to look at, just let me know, or put them into the chat box in about 10-15 minutes. Not right now, because I need to make sure you guys understand what we're doing here. Energy stocks have been very bullish. I mean, and we'll show you this in a bit because it's an important one, but XLE, the energy sector, you can see we started algos coming in and buying the energy sector in and around the mid part of February, and it's been basically just a one, straight up shot from there, And when we get these signals, all we have to do is either buy the ETF, buy the stock, buy the futures contract, buy a call if it's bullish, or buy a put if it's bearish. In this case, for XLE, could have just been a call that we could have bought. So very straightforward as far as that goes. Okay. All right, folks. Listen, let's get started. I know we are just about 5 minutes past the top of the hour, and Sylvia wants to look at Apple again. Sure. What I was just showing here for people that came in a few minutes early is I was just showing them Apple in terms of the bearish trend. Sorry, there's actually bearish trend. The sell signal we got this morning, you can see it right there. We had a sell signal in Apple, and this is something that we want to honor, right? When you see something, this is a 5-minute chart, intraday chart. We'll talk about this on the daily charts as well and everything here today. But again, this is live right now. This is Apple. You can see the sell signal we got from our indicator. So what the indicator does, it finds when other big Wall Street computers are coming in and buying or selling. In this case, it found that the algos were starting to sell, so big Wall Street computers were selling, and then all I have to do when I get that signal is either sell short, buy a put, whatever, right? In the case of an underlying stock, for example. So we'll talk about this here. If you guys are ready to go, I'm looking at the geographical makeup of our audience today. It looks like all over the place, of course, all across the United States. We see a lot of people in Europe as well this time of year, UK, looks like Germany, California, Florida, Texas, Chicago, Mexico City, Canada, all over the place, Vermont. Yeah, cool. Okay, listen, let's get started. I know you guys aren't here to listen to me talk about geography. Let me just quickly adjust my microphone here, and then we are going to get started. Again, if you guys have questions, please let us know, because the whole point here is to make sure that we can show you how all this works, and give you an understanding of how we can track when these big computer programs come into the market and they start buying and selling, and how we can jump on the back of that. So that's really the whole point. Give me just 1 second here.